You don't need to support the people who would send police to your house to kill you. Hello everyone, if I'm a little cranky today, I'm sorry, I'm dieting. But today we have two things to talk about, both of which I think might be interesting and thought-provoking for you, so I'm very curious to hear your opinions. Nobody is necessarily right or wrong in this, but there's kind of some nuance to it, I guess. Today we're talking about two things. One of them is a gun rights organization filing a red flag restraining order in the state of California against a city supervisor who has been in favor of red flag laws and that kind of thing. And we're also talking about how a law enforcement officer in the state of California in LA was actually charged with possession of tracer ammunition and an unregistered assault weapon, and how the DA is filing charges and going to be hitting this guy with a couple of felonies. Some interesting topics to talk about. If you want to support the channel, like, comment, subscribe, double check that you are subscribed. A lot of people get unsubscribed. Maybe you just thought you were, maybe you weren't actually. Just double check for me. If you want to support the channel financially, you can always use the code Reno at Gorilla Mind. They're just actually now releasing their energy drink later this month, but fitness supplements, that kind of thing, Gorilla Mind is probably the biggest supporter of the channel currently. So if you're into that kind of thing, check it out. So first things first, we're going to talk about how the San Diego County Gun Owners Organization, obviously based out of San Diego County, they actually filed and sent in a update request asking for information and put out this little press release in relation to their red flag restraining order, or I think it is a gun violence restraining order is what they call it in the state of California, and the status of the CCW permit of I believe it is Nathan Fletcher, the supervisor in that area. So I'm going to read this letter to you and then we're going to kind of talk about it. As you know, there are many current laws concerning firearms which our organization disagrees, and we continue to work to get them overturned. I believe we all agree, however, that special treatment of elected officials should never be tolerable. Kind of interesting, yeah? Last week, a lawsuit against Supervisor Nathan Fletcher was filed, which includes accusations of sexual assault and battery, sexual harassment, and other illegal behavior. It is not unusual for those accused of this level of illegal activity to have their concealed carry permit, CCW, revoked and a gun violence restraining order filed to remove all access to their firearms. In addition to the lawsuit, Nathan Fletcher released a statement stating that he is too mentally unstable to continue with his campaign for state senate and that he is entering treatment for addiction. The purpose of this letter is to ask for an update on the progress made to revoke Supervisor Fletcher's CCW and to file a gun violence restraining order against him. He has been vocal about his support for GVROs and heavily restricting CCW holders, especially when they are accused of violent crimes. So, gun rights organization who constantly is involved in the challenging of gun laws in the state files a red flag law order against a anti-gun, anti-CCW politician who actually has a CCW and firearms, which is kind of interesting, typical as a gun owner activities. But it's kind of interesting. Now, me personally, my thoughts, I disagree with red flag laws as a whole. And this isn't a but statement, and I am not going to shed a tear over a gun grabber who has stated that he is mentally unwell and checking himself into a facility because he is potentially a danger to himself and others. I'm not going to shed a tear over an organization that I have generally supported filing a piece of paper that I disagree with against this person. You don't need to support the people who would send police to your house to kill you. So there's that. Obviously, we all disagree with red flag laws. I think it's very clear San Diego County Gun Owners disagrees with them based on the fact that they've been challenging them in a variety of ways for many years now. I mean, some of their articles go back to like 2017, I think. Obviously, this is a weird situation. I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say down below about this. Now, the second thing that we're going to be talking about today was a police officer in LA who was in possession of an assault weapon and tracer ammunition. So, in the state of California, if you are law enforcement, you can have a patrol rifle, which some departments let you supply your own stuff, some don't. The rules kind of vary here and there, but if you're going to have a gun that is considered an assault weapon, it generally has to be the property of the department. Some departments, I think, let people take their guns home, that kind of thing, to and from work. It depends. But police in the state of California are not exempt from the assault weapon ban for their personal firearms, which is kind of interesting, especially when we look at this case. Now, the LA District Attorney, George Gascon, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I never actually watch the news. I just read articles about the news stories because I don't like to watch TV. So LA District Attorney George Gascon announced today that the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Deputy Brandon Gannon has been charged with unlawfully possessing an assault rifle and tracer ammunition at his home. Now, they say assault rifle here, but he was being charged with, I believe, possession of an assault weapon and a destructive device. If it was an assault rifle, because in the state of California, assault rifle does not have a penal code definition as far as I'm concerned, it would have been full auto, because generally the definition of assault rifle is a select fire rifle chambered in an intermediate cartridge, so something smaller than .308 but bigger than a pistol round, that kind of thing, and it would be full auto or select fire. However, he was charged with assault weapon possession. So you would think that the district attorney would kind of get that right, but it's obviously that this guy is pretty political in what he thinks about guns and gun owners. Now, he went on to talk about how they are going to be enforcing this law to the fullest. I'm sure this has nothing to do with their attempt to create accountability for the police. Now, my opinion on this, I don't really know where I want to sit on this because I don't know this guy. I don't know what kind of cop he was. Cops kind of come in a variety of flavors when it comes to gun laws. The ones that I know personally are all generally kind of the people that if they see someone, they have a gun that's illegal, they don't give a shit if that person is not doing something illegal like beating their wife or selling drugs and trying to kill people. Most of the cops that I know personally are the kind of people that if they roll up on you, they do a traffic stop, they see you got a gun that's illegal, if you're not doing something that is actually creating a victim, they don't really give a shit. Is this the kind of cop that is going to proudly stand next to a photo of a dime bag of weed and an 18th century revolver? I don't know. So it kind of goes in different directions. Do I feel bad for him? I think that depends entirely on the kind of person he is. Obviously, I disagree with these laws. However, if this is the kind of cop that is going to try to have his cake and eat it too by enforcing these laws and then having his own private stash, I don't know. However, generally, a lot of the cops that own personal firearms and I would say own illegal personal firearms, I would say it's probably more likely that he's the kind of person that wouldn't enforce laws outside of this person is an actual criminal creating real victims and these are additional crimes that we're charging them with. Because the state of California DAs like to let people back out on the streets to do more crimes, like in San Francisco. Just something to think about. So the DA went on to talk about how these firearms are being used in a variety of massacres and how these guns are dangerous. Now my question is, does he think that this cop, who clearly had to go through some amount of training, probably a lot of training, probably a lot of background checks, probably carries a firearm very similar in his squad car on a daily basis, does he think that that gun being in his house makes him likely to go out and commit a mass atrocity with one of these firearms? He can have his gun at work 8 to 12 hours a day on shift. Might even be able to take that gun home sometimes, depending on if he's taking the squad car home, who knows? But if it's his personal gun in his safe, oh, that's where we draw the line. It's just kind of interesting to think about. Obviously, guns don't commit crimes. People commit crimes. Owning a firearm without a fin grip, there is no victim there. Owning a firearm with a detachable magazine, there is no victim there, so where's the crime, in my opinion? So I don't think that these should be charged It's just more of a matter of, do I feel bad for the guy? And that would depend entirely on what kind of cop this person is. Obviously, I don't have access to that kind of information. Maybe you know this guy, maybe he's a great person, maybe he would never enforce any unconstitutional gun control. Who knows? If you do, would love to hear it. Probably not a good idea to share that kind of information considering that he's being charged with 2 felonies, and you don't exactly want to walk into that and say, hey, yeah, he's never enforced a gun law and he's also breaking all these gun laws. Probably not a good idea to share that information now that I think about it, but I'm not a lawyer, this is not legal advice. You guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.